The dismissal. The massive crystalline structure of the Federation Council chambers gleamed under the light of 3 different suns, each representing one of the founding worlds of the Galactic Federation. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the circular chamber, her simple black diplomatic uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate robes, biomechanical augmentations, and exotic forms of the 47 species that surrounded her. The weight of representing all of humanity pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. Chancellor Zeftar of the Vortani rose from his elevated platform, his tall insectoid form casting long shadows across the chamber floor. His compound eyes reflected the chamber's light in thousands of tiny fragments, giving him an otherworldly appearance that had intimidated countless species before humans ever dreamed of touching the stars. The Vortani had been the first to achieve faster-than-light travel in this galaxy, establishing them as the de facto leaders of the Federation for over 3,000 years. Ambassador Chen, Zeftar's voice resonated through the chamber with a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. We have reviewed your species application for Federation membership. We have studied your history, your technology, your social structures. He paused, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably long. We find your kind concerning. Sarah had expected this. The preliminary meetings with individual Federation members had not gone well. The ethereal collective had been horrified by human emotion, calling it chaotic mental pollution. The synthetic Commonwealth had dismissed human creativity as inefficient randomness. The peaceful hegemony had been appalled by humanity's history of warfare, despite their own military conquests centuries earlier. Chancellor, Sarah replied, her voice steady and clear, humanity acknowledges our imperfect past, but we've grown. We've learned. We've been at peace on Earth for over 50 years, and we've spent the last decade preparing for this moment. We offer the Federation our determination, our adaptability, and our unique perspectives. A low rumble of what Sarah had learned was Vortani laughter filled the chamber. Your determination, Ambassador, is precisely what concerns us. Your species approaches problems like a hammer approaches a nail. Everything becomes something to be conquered, to be beaten into submission. Zeftar gestured to the holographic display showing Earth's history. Wars spanning millennia, environmental destruction, nuclear weapons. Even now, your planet maintains military forces that could devastate worlds. Dr. Veltar of the Harmonious Assembly, a gaseous being contained within an elegant crystalline shell, added their voice to the discussion. Our psychological assessments indicate that humans are prone to what you call thinking outside the box. This unpredictability makes them dangerous partners. Civilized species follow established protocols, tested methods, proven paths. Humans create new paths where none should exist. Sarah felt a flash of anger but controlled it, knowing that any display of emotion would only prove their point. With respect, Dr. Veltar, that adaptability has allowed us to thrive on a world that many Federation species would consider uninhabitable. Earth experiences massive storms, tectonic shifts, predatory wildlife, and extreme climate variations. We didn't have the luxury of developing on a stable, gentle world. We had to innovate or die. Exactly our point, interjected Council Member Thrix of the Peaceful Hegemony, their tentacled form shifting colors to indicate displeasure. You're Deathworlders. Your planet forged you into weapons. Every human is a potential threat, trained by evolution itself to fight, to survive, to dominate. How can we trust such beings? The chamber fell silent, except for the soft humming of the environmental systems maintaining atmosphere suitable for dozens of different species. Sarah looked around at the faces, sensors, optical arrays, and other perceptual organs focused on her. She saw fear, disdain, and something else. A willingness to make a decision that would affect not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Chancellor Zeftar rose again, his massive form commanding attention. The Federation has reached a decision regarding humanity's application. The formal tone made Sarah's heart sink even before he continued. We cannot, in good conscience, admit a species as volatile and unpredictable as humanity to our collective. However, we are not without compassion." He gestured, and a new holographic display appeared showing star charts and shipping routes. "We offer humanity a choice. You may accept Federation protection. We will establish monitoring stations in your system. Your military will be disbanded, your weapons technology surrendered. In exchange, you will receive our guidance, our protection, and eventual integration into galactic society once you have proven yourselves capable of civilized behavior. The process will take approximately 200 years. Sarah stared at the display in disbelief. "You're talking about occupation, about reducing humanity to children under your supervision." "We prefer to think of it as responsible guardianship," Dr. Veltar replied smoothly. "Many species have benefited from such arrangements. The gentle folk of Kepler 438 are now productive Federation members after only 3 centuries of guidance." "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Zeftar's compound eyes glittered. "Then humanity will face the galaxy alone. No Federation trade, no technological exchange, no protection from hostile forces. Your system will be marked as off-limits to all Federation traffic. You will be isolated until you come to your senses or—" He didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. Sarah took a deep breath, thinking of the billions of people on Earth who had watched her departure with hope in their eyes. They had sent her to open doors to the stars, to bring humanity into the galactic community as equals. Instead, she was being offered slavery or exile. "Chancellor Zeftar, honored council members," she began, her voice growing stronger with each word. "I thank you for your offer, but I must respectfully decline on behalf of all humanity." A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber. Few species had ever refused Federation protection. "Humanity will make its own way among the stars. We don't need your permission to exist, and we don't need your protection to survive." The reaction was immediate and intense. Dozens of species began communicating in their various languages, creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, harmonics, and electromagnetic pulses. Chancellor Zeftar raised his arms for silence, his expression unreadable. "You would condemn your entire species to isolation rather than accept our guidance?" he asked, his voice carrying what might have been genuine puzzlement. Sarah smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, she felt truly confident. "Chancellor, you've spent this entire session telling us how dangerous, unpredictable, and resourceful humans are. Did you really think we'd be afraid of being left to our own devices?" She turned to address the entire chamber. "You see chaos where we see opportunity. You see danger where we see challenge. You see a species that needs to be controlled, but what you're really seeing is a species that refuses to be controlled. That's not a bug, Chancellor. That's a feature." The chamber erupted again, but Sarah continued speaking over the noise. "Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and near extinctions. We've turned a death world into a garden and reached for the stars with nothing but determination and ingenuity. If you think isolation scares us, you understand us even less than I thought." Chancellor Zeftar's compound eyes focused entirely on her. "Very well, Ambassador Chen. Humanity has made its choice. The Federation hereby declares the Sol system, and all human territories off-limits to Federation traffic. No trade, no communication, no assistance will be provided. When your species realizes the magnitude of their error, you may apply for protectorate status again." Sarah nodded formally. "We understand, Chancellor. But I suspect the next time humanity and the Federation meet, the circumstances will be very different." As she was escorted from the chamber, Sarah heard Dr. Veltar speaking quietly to Chancellor Zeftar. "Do you think we're making a mistake?" They seemed unusually confident for a species facing isolation. Zeftar's reply followed her down the corridor. "Dr. Veltar, they're deathworlders with delusions of grandeur. Within a decade, they'll be begging for our protection. The galaxy is far more dangerous than they imagine." 3 years later, Sarah would remember those words as she watched Federation emergency broadcasts flooding Earth's communication networks. Desperate pleas for help echoing across the stars as an unknown enemy swept through civilized space like a plague. But that day, as her ship departed the Federation Council chambers, she simply smiled and began composing her report, to Admiral Marcus Stone and the Earth Defense Command. The title of her report was simple: Recommendation: Prepare for Self-Reliance. The galaxy had made its position clear. Now humanity would show the galaxy what humans did best: prove everyone wrong. The Reckoning. 3 years of silence had stretched between Earth and the Galactic Federation like a vast, empty void. Admiral Marcus Stone stood on the observation deck of the EDS Defiance, humanity's newest and most advanced warship, watching the blue marble of Earth slowly rotate beneath them. The isolation had not broken humanity as Chancellor Zeftar had predicted. Instead, it had forged them into something harder, something more dangerous. The communication array suddenly crackled, to life interrupting Stone's contemplation. "Admiral?" came the voice of Lieutenant Commander Jessica Torres from the bridge. "We're receiving a priority transmission. It's from the Federation Council." Stone's weathered face showed no surprise, though his heart rate quickened. For 3 years, not a single Federation signal had reached Earth. The silence had been absolute, deliberate, and cold. Now something had changed. "Route it to my ready room," Stone commanded, straightening his uniform. The deep blue fabric bore new insignia, symbols representing Earth's rapid technological advancement during their isolation. Humanity had not spent 3 years sulking. They had spent 3 years preparing. In his ready room, Stone activated the quantum communicator, a device that would have impressed even Federation engineers. The holographic display materialized, showing a figure he recognized from Ambassador Chen's reports: Chancellor Zeftar. But the proud, condescending leader Sarah had described was gone. In his place stood a being whose compound eyes reflected desperation and fear. "Admiral Stone," Zeftar began, his voice lacking its former authority. "I am Chancellor Zeftar of the Galactic Federation Council. I am requesting immediate assistance from Earth Defense Command." Stone leaned back in his chair, his expression carefully neutral. "Chancellor, it's been a while. 3 years of complete silence, if I remember correctly. What changed?" Zeftar's form seemed to shrink. "We are under attack, Admiral. An enemy unlike anything we've faced. They call themselves the Void Hunters, and they're systematically destroying Federation worlds. We've lost 17 systems in the past 6 months. Our fleets are scattered, our defenses are failing, and our people are dying." "I see," Stone replied calmly. "And you're contacting us because we need help," Zeftar said, the words seeming to physically pain him. "We need every available military force, every strategic mind, every resource we can find. Despite our past disagreements, humanity possesses military capabilities that could make a difference." Stone stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the massive fleet formations training in Earth's orbital space. Hundreds of ships moved in precise formations, their hulls gleaming with armor and weapons that represented 3 years of focused innovation. Humanity had taken the Federation's rejection and transformed it into motivation. "Tell me about these Void Hunters," Stone said, not turning around. Zeftar activated his own display, showing grainy battle footage that made Stone's blood run cold. The enemy ships were massive, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved through space like predators, coordinating their attacks with terrifying intelligence. "They appeared 6 months ago from the galactic rim," Zeftar explained. "No warning, no communication, no demands. They simply began attacking our outer colonies. Their technology is unlike anything in our databases. Our energy weapons have minimal effect. Our shields fail against their weaponry. They board our ships, take prisoners, and then the prisoners disappear." Stone turned back to the display. "What kind of numbers are we talking about?" "Conservative estimates put their fleet at over 10,000 vessels," Zeftar replied. "But Admiral, that's not the worst part. They're learning. Each battle, they adapt their tactics. They study our weapons, our strategies, our weaknesses. They're not just conquerors, they're scientists." "And the Federation's response?" Zeftar's compound eyes dimmed. "We've lost 60% of our combined fleet. The ethereal collective has withdrawn to their core worlds. The synthetic commonwealth is negotiating a separate peace. Half our member species are preparing to surrender rather than face extinction. Stone nodded slowly. The Federation, built on the assumption of their own superiority, was crumbling under the pressure of a real threat. What makes you think humanity can help where 47 advanced civilizations have failed? For the first time in the conversation, Zeftar's voice carried a note of something that might have been respect. Because you're Deathworlders, Admiral. You think like predators. You adapt like survivors. And frankly, you're our last hope. Stone activated his own communicator. Commander Torres, patch me through to Ambassador Chen. Sarah Chen appeared on a secondary display, her face showing the same mixture of concern and determination that Stone remembered from their planning sessions. 3 years ago, she was now Director of Interstellar Affairs, a position that had become far more important than anyone had anticipated. Sarah, you've been monitoring this? Stone asked. Every word, Marcus. We've been tracking the Void Hunter advance through our long-range sensors for the past month. They're good, but they're not invisible. Chancellor Zeftar looked between the two humans, confusion evident in his posture. You've been tracking them? But how? Our most advanced sensor networks couldn't detect them until they were already attacking. Sarah smiled grimly. Chancellor, 3 years ago you told us we were too violent, too chaotic, too unpredictable. What you didn't understand is that those traits make us very good at finding threats before they find us. Paranoia is a survival trait when you live on a death world. Stone made his decision. Chancellor Zeftar, humanity will assist the Federation against the Void Hunters, but we do this as equals, not as junior partners under your guidance. Agreed, Zeftar said immediately. Completely agreed. What do you need? Fleet deployment coordinates, tactical assessments of Void Hunter capabilities, and complete access to Federation military databases, Stone replied. And Chancellor, when this is over, humanity wants a seat on the Federation Council, not as supplicants, but as founding members of whatever comes next. Done, Zeftar replied without hesitation. 2 weeks later, the combined human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 4042 system, where the Void Hunters were preparing to assault the Federation's military headquarters. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as his tactical display filled with enemy contacts. My God, whispered Lieutenant Torres. There are thousands of them. Stone studied the formation, his mind already working through possibilities. The Void Hunters had arranged themselves in a pattern no Federation admiral would have expected, but Stone recognized it immediately. It's a pack hunt, he said quietly. They're not just attacking the station. They're herding the Federation fleet into a killing ground. He activated the fleet communications. All ships, this is Admiral Stone. Execute formation Delta 7. Remember your training, remember your purpose, and remember that today we show the galaxy what humans do when someone threatens our friends. The human fleet spread out in a pattern that would have seemed chaotic to Federation observers but was actually a carefully orchestrated dance of deception and misdirection. Each ship moved independently, using tactics developed during Earth's isolation, tactics based on the hunting patterns of apex predators. The battle that followed would be remembered as the turning point of the Void Hunter War. Human ships, smaller and seemingly outgunned, used speed and cunning to outmaneuver their enemies. They struck from unexpected angles, disappeared into sensor shadows, and coordinated attacks with a flexibility that confused the methodical Void Hunters. But it was the aftermath that truly shocked the watching Federation forces. As Void Hunter ships disabled but not destroyed drifted in space, human boarding parties did something unprecedented. They captured enemy vessels intact and began studying their technology in real time. How? Chancellor Zeftar asked as he watched the human forces systematically dissecting Void Hunter technology, even while the battle continued around them. Ambassador Chen, now aboard the Federation command ship, smiled. Because we're curious, Chancellor. Because when we see something we don't understand, our first instinct isn't to fear it or run from it. Our first instinct is to take it apart and figure out how it works. The Void Hunters, faced with an enemy that adapted as quickly as they did, that fought with the viciousness of cornered predators, and the intelligence of scientists began to retreat. For the first time in 6 months, they withdrew from a battle. In the weeks that followed, human-led joint forces pushed the Void Hunters back system by system. The key was humanity's approach to warfare, not the methodical, predictable strategies the Federation had relied on, but the chaotic, adaptive, innovative tactics of survivors. Chancellor Zeftar found Admiral Stone 3 months later aboard the recaptured Federation outpost at Vega Prime. The war was effectively over, the Void Hunters retreating to whatever dark corner of space had spawned them. "Admiral," Zeftar said, his voice carrying a humility that would have been unthinkable 4 years earlier, "the Federation Council has voted. Humanity is hereby granted full membership with all the rights and privileges thereof. Furthermore, we would like to offer you the position of Supreme Military Commander." Stone looked out at the mixed fleet of human and Federation vessels patrolling the system. "I appreciate the offer, Chancellor, but I have a better idea. How about we form a new kind of council, one where every species has an equal voice, where diversity is seen as strength instead of weakness, and where being different is considered an asset, not a liability?" Zeftar was quiet for a long moment. "You mean a council where Deathworlders like humans have the same authority as species like the Vortani?" "I mean a council where survival isn't just about avoiding conflict, but about being ready for whatever the galaxy throws at us next," Stone replied. "Because, Chancellor, the Void Hunters may be gone, but the galaxy is a big, dangerous place. And next time something like this happens, wouldn't you rather have the unpredictable, chaotic, violent humans as allies instead of enemies?" As Stone walked away, Zeftar realized that the Federation's greatest failure hadn't been underestimating humanity's military capabilities or their technological potential. Their greatest failure had been assuming that what made humans different made them inferior, when in fact it made them indispensable. The galaxy was about to learn that lesson in ways they never expected.